Okay, gang, I'll give you a little bit of help here with your homework. This is what I assigned from 8-7. I'll help you with number 51. All right, so there's no little parts here to combine. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at who are the lowest exponents. So for x plus 2, I have a 3/4 and a 1/4. So 1/4 is the lowest, the negative 1/4. Remember, that's how we figure out the common factor. It's the lowest exponent. And I'll figure out the common factor for the x plus 3. So I'm comparing a negative 2/3 and a 1/3. This number is lower. Okay, so I told you, as a good analogy, you can think of the original as like a bank and the common factor as like what you're withdrawing. Because you have to make sure you subtract whatever's here. All right, so let's get started. So 3/4, that's what I start with, that's the bank. 3/4 minus a minus 1/4. So let me do that down here. So it's 3/4, I have to withdraw a negative 1/4, which means I'm actually adding it. That makes my new exponent a 1. And again, you don't usually write 1s, but I'll put it here because that's what you're calculating. You're calculating its new exponent. The other one, you completely withdrew it. It's gone. All right, the minus sign in the middle, that will separate the leftover from the front. The minus sign separates the front leftover from the back leftover. So now let's do the back. So I start with 1/3 in the bank. I'm going to take away a negative 2/3. So I start with 1/3. I'm going to withdraw a negative 2/3. So again, that's a double negative. I'm going to add. So the exponent on that is a 1. And the other part, you take it out completely. You withdraw it completely. All right, I told you guys when you have an exponent raised to an exponent, you multiply. So that's 3/4 times 2/1. I like to reduce first, but I notice a lot of you guys do the multiplication first. So a lot of you write 6/4 and then 3/2. I tend to just like to reduce here first. It's just easier on my brain. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2. All right, either way, you should get 3/2 for that. Now this guy in here, distribute the negative 1 to both terms. You're subtracting both, not just the front guy. So this guy in the numerator, the x minus x will go, and 2 minus 3 is negative 1. These are both negative, which means that they can reciprocate. I stressed this in the lecture, but I'll just say it one more time. You cannot flip it here because this guy only belongs to the front. If you flip this guy down, you've now made it the bottom of everybody. You've said it's the bottom of this and the bottom of this, which it is not. This is not the bottom of this side. So for those of you who flip first, you actually have to write a complex fraction. If you want to do it that way, it's fine, but you can only flip it in the front. So meaning if that's the way you're gonna do it, I think that's a little bit longer to do it that way in calc, but you know, at the end of the day, if that's the way you want to run the race, if you're good at doing it that way, that's fine, because it'll work. But just you have to set it up right if that's the way you're going to do it. Some people flip the negatives first, but like I said, if they're not a common factor, they cannot become a common denominator. You have to be a common to be a common. You can't be just the front and they'll make it a common. It doesn't work like that. So if you're going to flip it first, it becomes a complex fraction and you solve it that way. Meaning you get the LCD and you have to collapse that fraction, which is fine. But once it's a common factor, that's when it can come down as a common denominator. So since this is a common factor now, that's why a common can be a common, right? So I can bring it down. I'm just going to add an extra step here because it helps people. It helps students understand it. The interesting thing about calculus is calculus in and of itself, I don't think is very difficult. It's the algebra and the trig in it's this course in calculus that will, if you get this course down, calculus to me will be a breeze for you. I mean, we'll all have our own opinions, but this is really what makes or break, I think, the calculus experience. Now, these two are the same, so they're, you're going to add this. Make sure you do the correct operation. They're neighbors, so you're going to add this. So you're going to do 1/4 plus 3/2. Now, that is a fraction, so you have to do LCD. So I'm going to make them both over 4. So it's going to become 7/4 for that one. Okay, and then there's your answer. I hope that helped. I know these are challenging, but you know, you guys can get it. Just stick at it. All right, that's it for today. I'm done making videos. See you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.